Chairete, ophiloi ente oikumene posekete. Hello friends around the world, how is everyone doing? My name is Dr. David C. Noe, and I want to share with you today a brief Greek lesson, something that I have learned that I hope you can incorporate into your own study of this beautiful and profound language. Today's lesson comes from Luke chapter 5, verse 1, and the Greek sounds like this. Ἐγένετο de ento ton oklon epikesthai auto, kai akouein ton logon tu theou, kai autos ein hestos, para tein limnein genesaret. Now first I'm going to read the New Revised Standard Version translation, which is like this. Once while Jesus was standing beside the lake of Gennesaret, and the crowd was pressing in on him to hear the word of God, and now there's a comma. Now why is this? Well, because the NRSV wants to take this verse as a subordinate clause to verse 2. Now the Greek doesn't really support that, but it's not an inaccurate translation by any stretch. My point is simply that ἐγένετο here at the beginning of the verse is actually an independent verb. There is no subordination. It came to pass, and then this came to pass, is really what the Greek says. What about the ESV, the Second English Translation, the English Standard Version? Well, it goes like this. On one occasion, while the crowd was pressing in on him to hear the word of God, he was standing by the lake of Gennesaret. Now notice that this translation takes the second part of the verse as an independent clause, which it is, but it also wants to subordinate the ἐγένετο. And that's okay because it makes for a decent translation, although arguably it's not quite as close to the Greek as maybe it should be. So what about the Greek? What am I saying when I talk about independent verb and so forth? Well, let's take a closer look for just a moment. Notice the verse begins with ἐγένετο. Now this is a finite verb. It's a third singular aorist indicative middle. It happened, or it came to pass. And when did it come to pass? En to ton ochlon epikesthai auto. Now this is a prepositional phrase, and it's followed by an articular infinitive. What's an articular infinitive? It's just the article with an infinitive. So we have to, the neuter singular dative article, and a little further down we have epikesthai, which means to press against or to be next to. So the to epikesthai has as its subject ton oklon, which is in the middle. Ton oklon is masculine singular accusative, because only the accusative can be the subject of an infinitive. So, and it happened while the crowd was pressing against him. So the auto is Christ. While the crowd was pressing against him, and they were listening, akouein, we have another infinitive here, and they were listening to the word of God, ton logon tu theou. Now, both the NRSV and the ESV interpret akouein as purpose. The NRSV says to hear the word of God, and the ESV says as well to hear the word of God, which I think is a very plausible interpretation of why they were pressing against Christ. It was to hear the word of God. It's also the case that the infinitive in koine is often used for purpose, a use that it doesn't typically have in the Attic dialect. So they were pressing against him, and autos ein, and Jesus himself. Now autos is the masculine singular nominative subject, autos, and Jesus himself was standing there. That's the participle hestos, was standing para tein limnein Genesaret, near the shore of the Gennesaret. So this is why I say that the ESV might be slightly more accurate because it treats this part of the sentence as an independent main verb, which is what it is. This is why it says, he, meaning Christ, was standing by the lake of Gennesaret. Now I also promised you that we'd look at Beza for a moment. So this is from his 1598 Annotationes in Novum Testamentum, that is his annotations on the New Testament. So what does he say? Well, his Latin goes like this. Factum est autem quum turba incumberet ei, audiendi verbi Dei causa, ipse stabat apud lacum Gennesaret. Notice that Beza's version puts a full stop after Gennesaret. You see there's a period there, a full stop. And I think this is an accurate representation of the fact that there are two separate clauses here. Moreover, it happened, factum est autem, when the crowd was pressing against him, turba incumberet ei. And then notice Beza also uses an expression of purpose, and that is audiendi verbi Dei kausa, which is kausa with the preceding genitive, which is actually a gerundive. They were doing this for the sake of hearing the word of God. He himself, ipse, that's Beza's translation of autos, and it's very accurate. He himself was standing apud lacum Gennesaret, next to the lake of Gennesaret. You notice that both in Greek and in Latin, Gennesaret is not declined. That's because it's not a Greek or Latin word. It's from a language that is not a declined language, so it's just brought into these respective languages without its form being changed. Now, if you have enjoyed this brief lesson, this free Greek instruction, I'm going to ask you to do two things for me, please. First of all, like and subscribe, hit the bell so that you can receive notifications when we release new Greek instruction that will help you in your study. And secondly, please go to MossMethod.com and check out the program that I have developed to take you from neophyte to erudite. I've been studying and teaching Greek and Latin for a very long time. I've had many good teachers, and I can provide you with the resources that you need, both the coaching and the confidence to take you to the next level. If you sign up for our MossMethod course, you also receive our weekly office hours. We meet by Zoom for 1 hour per week. Students from all over the world. We read Homer, sometimes Demosthenes, sometimes Lysias, and of course the New Testament, all of which were written in the Greek language. So thank you so much for watching. Keep on in your study of the Greek language, and chairete o mathetai. So long, students.